Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 15th Board of Public Works and Safety. We are recording this meeting on City of Madison YouTube channel. It's archived for live streaming as well as viewing later. Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Courtney?
Here.
Carlo?
Here.
Eaglin?
Here.
All right. Board, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from May the 1st? If so, we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes for May the 1st.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on, we have claims.
Mayor had an opportunity to review the claims, and I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
I'll second David's motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right, no adjustments. We'll first bring off the table here Resolution 17B 2023. Joe. Mike, you want to come on up?
All right, this is resolution number 17B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding a street closing for the Madison Vintage Thunder. Whereas there's been a request filed by Michael Fine on behalf of the National Boat Racing Heritage Center for a street closing in connection with the Madison Vintage Thunder to be held on September 16th and 17th, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed from Thursday, September 14th, 2023 at 3:30 through Sunday, September 17th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Vaughn Drive between the west side of Poplar Street and the east side of Jefferson Street. Mulberry Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive. West Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive, and Central Avenue between First Street and Vaughn Drive. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the city boat ramp located between West Street and Jefferson Street shall be closed from Thursday, September 14th, 2023 at 3:30 through Sunday, September 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that all streets and boat ramp as closed shall be under supervision and control of the National Boat Racing Heritage Center at the time zone above for the year 2023.
Good morning, Mike. Want to just give us a, I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Okay. Morning, Mike. How are you, sir?
Good morning.
Thanks for being here and putting on another event that promotes Madison's history in hydroplane racing.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
You want to give us a little overview? Joe's already read the resolution. I believe this is the same footprint as in prior years. Same week, same weekend as well.
Yes, there's no real changes this year at all from last year. We're going to run it the same way. We are going to have gates because we are going to charge $5 a person admission this year. And that's going to help us. We have a boat and some other parts down at the marina that we're paying for, and that's going to help us to pay for that all year long. That's basically why we're going to charge at the gates.
On Mulberry Street, will that still be open to the restaurant there?
Yes, it will.
They will have access
Yes.
to that. Okay.
People will be able to get to that, and also the lighthouse
Okay.
will be accessible on Vaughn.
So
And I've talked to
Go
the
ahead.
lighthouse
Yep.
owners. I still need to go by and talk to the people. At the other restaurant, they just started to open up, so I thought I'd go pay them a visit.
Yeah, they're open now. Okay, thank you.
Mike, so in order to have gates, are you fencing in the footprint then?
Yes, we need to fence in basically the footprint, which we haven't done in the past, but it's been close. And that would enable us to funnel everybody into the gates to, collect admission. That's the one change that we have not done in the past. It's been a free event.
Okay. And are you going to have are you going to have a fence company install the fencing to secure your footprint and your gates?
I'm not sure. Does the city do that, or do you guys offer that?
Well,
or?
we're doing it and have traditionally done it for regatta, but that's
Right.
something we are working toward is trying to lessen the amount of labor the regatta footprint's larger than this, but again, I
Right.
think that's something that we would need a plan to agree upon, rather than automatically committing the city to
I
install
understand.
your fences.
Well, we'd have to
Yeah.
talk about that, and I would have to plan that, because
Okay.
that's one thing I'm not familiar with.
Okay,
And I'd be happy to sit down and look at that and see what other alternatives we might be able to come up with.
okay,
I've not worked on that at all.
okay. Board, any questions for Mike on the street closure?
Everything else is pretty much the same, Mike, as
Yes,
in
sir.
the past.
Yes, sir.
Are
See,
there
you
any-
got your event plan completed and
Yes. As far as the scheduling, you're saying, or the event plan?
no, the traffic management, crowd
Yes,
management,
yes.
security, all the details.
Emergency response to the public safety element of it.
Yeah.
Are there any, while Dave's still looking at this, any comments or questions from anybody in attendance?
All right, make a motion, we approve resolution 17B-20023 with the understanding that the fencing issue still has to be approved by the city.
I'll second Carl's motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Mike, thank you. We'll follow up with you on the setup.
I will, thank you.
All right, Brian Jackson. Brian, while you're giving us a overview of the SRF disbursement request, maybe also give us an update on status of the project and particularly the repaving of the neighborhoods where there's been excavation in the streets for the water line replacement.
Okay, we'll go over the SRF requests first.
Okay.
There's 4 here, 20 through 23. Request number 20 is from Commonwealth Engineers. It involves 3 separate invoices, one for the RPR ongoing inspections for $28,792.21, one for the American Iron Steel compliance for $433.44, and then the third for construction fees, which is $19,734.64. The total amount of invoice 20 is $48,960.29, and we'll submit the disbursement request of $48,960 to the SRF. Request number 21 is from Dave O'Mara Contracting for work at the water treatment plants. The total amount of the invoice is $11,505, retainage amount of $575, and so the total amount of the disbursement this time is $10,930. SRF request 22 from MW Cole Construction, dealing with the water storage tanks. The total amount of the invoice is $413,800. The retainage amount is $20,690. And then the disbursement request is going to be $393,110. Your paper's probably got the wrong amount on it, Dave and I. That's what we were going over prior to the meeting. So the disbursement request is 393,110 for request 22. And then SRF request number 23 from Brackney, the water main replacements. The total amount of their invoice was $557,633. The retainage amount will be $27,882, and the amount of the SRS disbursement is $529,751. And on the water tower tanks, they've done a couple of them. We finished one of the tanks, one of the million-gallon tanks up there, and we had to replace a valve. Obviously, we found other issues. It hadn't been moved in so long, it broke when we started to use it, which was our expense. And they've cleared around the south tower, and they've been working on the south tower. They're coordinating with us, though, because we can only turn down so many tanks each time. With the roads and the paving, they've pretty much finished East Street. They've done some preliminary paving. They haven't done the final paving there. And then they haven't done all the services up at Hillcrest. We actually meet this afternoon with the engineers and the contractors. We'll meet this afternoon, and I'll get more of an idea of where they're at on all the projects. But, and then they haven't started Frank's Drive. They've done some preliminary work on Flint Street. And then over in Sunrise, they've pretty much got all the mains in, except for the main going across the golf course, which we're trying to coordinate that with the golf course. He's got some events going on, so we're hopefully do that on a Monday morning and get it board. That's going to be one of the big topics of discussion today, how we're going across the golf course.
Okay.
In Sunrise, you had a gas leak. Was that caused by?
Yes, that was caused by the contractors. Yes, it was a marked gas. That's on them to repair.
Okay.
Well, the gas company will repair, but then they will bill Brackney, which happens. They've hit water lines, gas lines. They're going to hit some stuff. That's only, I think that's the second gas line we've hit.
Yeah, I thought it was.
They have hit. And then they've hit a few water service lines, which the service lines are understandable because they're not really marked, because they're private. But yeah. So far, they've hit a few things, not terrible.
Gas leaks kind of scare me though.
Yeah, they do.
Brian, we had some conversations about the backfill, the excavation backfill procedures. Has that been resolved?
Rob's supposed to be at the meeting today to address that.
Is that
with
here?
Brackney. It's up at, behind the Moose, where the construction site is.
Okay, gotcha. And then secondly, maybe in the future, when we get a little further into the project, if we could get your construction calendar for each of these different divisions, and then we can just start tracking about relative to the timing of the progress of construction.
Right. I didn't mention the treatment plants because they really haven't started yet. They're having trouble getting materials, which we knew when they bid the job that there was almost a year wait on some of the materials.
Yeah.
So that's really not even begun yet. They've done some really preliminary stuff, materials and stuff, but they have not started at all on the treatment plants, the towers. Yeah, so they really don't have a time schedule yet, but I can get you the ones for the tanks. I think I gave you the one for the tanks, but I don't have one from Brackney, so.
In the meeting today, is that only with Brackney or is it with all?
It's all three.
All three,
It's,
okay.
it's basically, we have a monthly construction meeting, and we go over issues that they're having, issues that the engineers are having, and issues that we are having. And we make a list, and we all discuss it at the meetings.
And just so, for anybody watching or listening, you know, the excavation that was done for the below surface water line replacement, that asphalt is going to be repaired and that new asphalt put down where they had trenched. So, because I think some people are asking, because it's just left in a state with fill in it,
Right.
whether or not we were going to asphalt. Now that the asphalt plants are open,
Right,
I'm
well, and
assuming we'll get on schedule.
they originally leave just the fill because they put the main in, and then they come back a few weeks later and then tie all the services in. And they don't want to obviously asphalt it until they've tied all the
Yeah,
services in.
sure, makes sense.
But they've, at East Street, that's probably the only one that's completely complete, and they've done like a preliminary asphalt patching there.
Okay.
Have you run into any major complications so far?
No, not really. The golf course is going to be a topic of, that's nobody's going to like to discuss at the meeting today, but that's, we're wanting
Well-
to bore it, and they're wanting to.
Yeah, I mean, discuss the reason of why it's so important for Sunrise and the existing conditions that Sunrise
Right,
neighborhood faces
In
without.
Sunrise, the reason the connection across the golf course is so important is because right now Sunrise sits on an island, and so if water goes out over on Hatcher Hill, right next to Michigan Road, everyone east of there has no water. But when we loop it, you can solve that problem. You can isolate the leak with valves and keep feeding everybody with water, which is exactly what you want. We try to loop as many as we can. Obviously, you can't loop everything, but that one is a major, there's over 100 houses back there.
Yeah.
Plus the people that live on Hatcher Hill, just east of there.
Not only for the water service, but fire protection, you know, when it
Yes,
goes
yeah,
out.
they
it's
had some
critical.
4-inch lines in there. We upgraded those to 6-inch lines because you don't want a fire hydrant served on anything less than a 6-inch line. So we've upgraded some of that too. We've done that several places throughout the city where they didn't have large enough lines.
So what you're saying, if you had a leak
Right.
at Hatcher Hill, you had to shut the water off the whole subdivision.
The whole subdivision, everybody on Hatcher Hill, those people that live on that dead end road, everybody loses water. which has happened a few times. But this should solve that problem. I mean, there's cobblestones back there. It's not just Sunrise.
Right.
There's several little subdivisions back in there.
It's an inconvenience to deal with the excavation and all the street work and the dust until it gets resolved. But, you know, the important thing is we're trying to bring more water volume and more, you know, fire safety to
Just
to the
better
neighborhoods.
service too,
Better
yeah.
service.
And the boring at the golf courses to keep the golf course operational.
Yes, yeah, we're targeting trying to do it on a Monday because I know they do maintenance up there, and so it's closed anyway. But I don't know if they're going to get the boring done. When you bore, you dig a hole at one end, kind of a hole in the middle, and a hole at the other end, and you kind of can go under. Hopefully, most of the utilities. There's sprinkler systems and there's some water lines out there. They're all for the golf course, but
Any additional questions for Brian?
Brian, I had one homeowner
only
approach
one.
me that their driveway got, their
Kinda-
concrete got cracked by the work going on, so I
Yeah,
told
they're-
them to call the water
Well,
office.
I talked to the
and-
mayor about this and contacted the engineer to make sure, but they're supposed to replace, if it's an asphalt driveway, they're supposed to replace it with like or better materials, so that would be asphalt. If it's a concrete, they should replace it with concrete or something better.
Yeah.
Now, the only time they would probably veer from the actual materials if the owner comes out and says, well, I'd rather you do this, and as long as it's within their parameters, they can do that.
Yeah.
But,
They'd expressed that they'd had a new driveway installed maybe a year ago, concrete, and somehow it got cracked during the construction.
yeah,
so.
I'll talk to him. So, because, did they mention something to the contractors out there, or that there's an
I'm
inspector usually
not-
on site?
Well, I told them that they needed to talk to the contractor and maybe call the water department and report it, so.
Okay, well, I haven't
And I
heard
can
that,
follow
so,
up on that too, so.
I
You
mean,
know,
if they cut across it, obviously they're gonna replace it, but if they were working in the general vicinity and it cracked, I don't know, that's an engineering question.
Yeah.
Because concrete cracks, I'll take you to my house.
Well, I don't know, it sounded like it was more than a crack.
Right,
So,
well, yeah, that's,
Yeah, so,
that's really, they're gonna have to, the inspector will have to look at it and say, yeah, this was caused by us, we'll have to repair this here.
and I'll check with them and see if they've
Took
reached
care
out
of
to
anything.
anybody, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have not heard anything about that.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve the distributions for the water project.
All
I'll
second.
second Carl's motion.
Okay. Any discussion, comments, or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
It's probably specified in that motion that it's request number 20 through 23.
Okay. All right, next on our agenda, Tony Steinhardt is not here, so I'll represent economic development for the city. We have a joint use and maintenance agreement between the Indiana Department of Transportation and the city of Madison, Indiana, concerning the work around the Sunrise Crossing development, which we're involved in. This joint use agreement really addresses three things that are important to that development and to the city. One is the clearing and maintenance of the tree line between Michigan Road and Franks Drive. The other is the installation of wayfinding signs to direct people where to go. And then the third are entry walls, gateway walls, effectively on the northeast and the northwest portion of Clifty Drive at the Michigan Road intersection. NDOT is granting us a permit to install the wayfinding, do the work on the gateways, as well as clean up the fence line there that is on Clifty Drive that abuts the Sunrise Crossing development. And this will be a perpetual agreement until either one of us notifies the other that we no longer want to do that. In addition to the agreement, the board here, you have a map that shows the Sunrise Crossing site plan and the adjacent Clifty Drive and Michigan Road, as well as the placement of the gateway walls, and the fence clearing. We've been successful with working with NDOT. The last couple of weeks, we've received our permits for the intersection improvements at Franks Drive and Clifty Drive. We also received approval from them, or negotiated the transfer agreement for Ferry Street while the drainage work there is being done. And then we have a meeting with NDOT later this week to discuss some other items related to Hanging Rock Hill.
I'll make a motion, we approve the use agreement with NDOT.
Mayor, I just had a
Go ahead.
question
Yep.
about the walls.
Okay.
Will these walls be similar to the entryway
Yes.
at the bridge?
Yeah.
It's got the,
Intended to be very similar in design and materials.
okay.
We'll have, one wall will have the flags, the other wall will have City of Madison on it.
I'll second Carl's motion to
Okay.
approve the contract.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right. I think Keely, are you presenting the? Oh, there you go. Tanya, welcome. So Tanya, you have two contracts.
I have three.
Oh, you have three,
actually.
okay.
They all three got in your packet.
So the BYB and Pro Media, was there another one?
I have three BYB
Oh,
contracts.
three wide, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
One for the Hometown USA Parade, one for the Halloween Festival, and then the Mary Madison Christmas Celebration. Do you guys have copies of those three?
Yes, so the first one you mentioned for the hometown, is that,
$2,675.
oh, okay, I've got them in different orders here. Yep, there you go. All right, and that is for the stilt walker with the balloons and face painting, and these events, you're also fundraising for, is that
We
correct?
do. We have
Yeah.
sponsors for all three of these, actually.
That's great.
So,
These are fun
Yes.
events. So you said one is for the parade,
yeah, that's some pre-entertainment
Okay. Mm-hmm.
down at the fountain before the parade. They'll start at like 4 o'clock when people start getting down there to line up.
and one is for,
The Halloween Festival.
Halloween, and the other one's for
Bicentennial,
Christmas.
That's the
Okay.
11,700. And then the Christmas one is 8,200.
okay,
The stilt walker with the balloon tying for the parade,
Mm-hmm.
that's for the parade itself, is that correct?
No, that's actually at Broadway Fountain before the parade
Before-
starts.
Okay.
Yeah. There's so many families down there early. We just wanted some entertainment for the kids.
So both of
Wait.
these will take place around the fountain,
They will.
and for how long?
I believe it's 2 hours up to the parade, isn't it? From like 4 to 6? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
really well attended because everybody's coming down for the parade. Same thing with the Christmas parade, a lot of
They
activity.
get there early to get their spots
Sure.
and then have a couple hours
Sure.
of downtime,
Yeah.
so just
Explain-
trying to keep it fun during that.
Explain how the skating rink without ice is going to work.
The ice skating rink,
Yeah, it says iceless
it's
skating.
synthetic,
Oh, so it is a synthetic.
yeah.
They're like
So
on
you still
rollerblade-
skate
they're
on
like
it, but
on
it's hockey
rollerblades.
skates instead
Yeah.
of ice
Oh, okay.
skates. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's pretty fun.
It's not like a broken hip to me.
Definitely a possibility.
Any other questions on those
And
three?
well, I guess for both the Christmas and the Halloween, how long are these events take place?
Okay, so the Halloween is 11 to 2. Christmas is following the parade until 3 p.m.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think you made a motion. Did you make a motion already? No?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
that we approve the 3 events.
Okay. The contracts for the 3 events. I'll second that motion with BYB. Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tanya. All right, next up, we have a contract with City of Madison Video Services with Pro Media Group. This is a renewal.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
just a renewal. We used Pro Media Group in the past. We did our Madison on the Move videos last year. There was 4 of them. You can view them on our YouTube channel under the Madison on the Move videos. You can also view them on Facebook. And then this year we have 3 scheduled plus a refresh of the intro video, now that Pro Media has gathered footage for the last year. So these are just really to highlight some projects that we have ongoing.
Part of our community outreach information, money's appropriated through the council budget. And can you view these on our website too, under our projects?
Yes, we have a Madison on the Move page on our project page.
Okay.
And those have been embedded.
Okay, good.
This year, we're covering destination development. We're gonna do some parks infrastructure updates with Gaines Park and Oak Hill Park, and then we're gonna do Sunrise Crossing because that project should finish up this fall.
I make a motion, we approve the contract with Pro Media Group.
I'll second Carl's motion.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving back to some street closures. Resolution 23B, Joe, you want to go ahead and do this one?
Everybody here for this one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're here for Mad Paddle? Oh, come on up.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's resolution number 23B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding a parking space closing for Mad Paddle Brewstillery. Whereas there's been a request filed by Kimberly Hart on behalf of Mad Paddle Brewstillery for a closing of 2 parking spaces directly in front of their business located at 301 West Street to allow for various food truck vendors to park and operate for food vending on certain dates throughout 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that 2 parking spaces located directly in front of Mad Paddle Brewery at 301 West Street shall be closed from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the following dates throughout 2023 in order to allow for various food truck vendors to park and operate food vending. That's May 19th, May 26th, May 27th, June 30th, July 1, July 21, July 22, August 4th, August 5th, September 9th, September 29th, September 30th, October 14th, October 27th, October 28th, and November 4th. And be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety that the parking spaces as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Mad Paddle Brewery at the times noted above for year 2023.
I do have one date that was missing
Oh.
from his list.
Okay.
8/19
August,
should have been on there also.
August 19th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you're not Kim, so introduce yourself to the board and your audience here.
Melissa Waller, I
Yep.
am the current manager of Mad Paddle,
Is Mad Paddle open?
August 19th.
just for these dates listed in 2023.
We did something similar last year, I believe, in order to, reserve the spots for the food trucks during different
Yes.
weekends. Yeah. I appreciate him taking this approach so that it's formal. And happy to see Mad Paddle back in action for a handful of weekends between now and the fall, it looks like.
So are we.
Yep. This is pretty self-explanatory, so I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 23B, 2023.
Second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions?
Mayor, I just had a
Yeah.
question about the October 14th. Would that run interference with the Soup Stew Chili and Brew event?
I don't know. I don't think it would interfere because that event's on, you said October 14th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Saturday.
is that day. That is that same day.
Yeah. I just question being a block apart, is it gonna hurt the festival? So, just just bringing it up for discussion.
Is
Carl.
it soup, stew, chili, and brew during the daytime?
It finishes
Yes.
up around 5. Yes. that
From
day.
11 to 5.
I don't know what time they're planning on having the truck there. Would it be all right if it wasn't just in the evening hours?
Well, your
that make a
resolution says
difference?
9 AM to 11 PM,
7 to 11? 7 to
yeah,
11.
7 to 11.
I don't see it as a problem because, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of activity happening in this whole area. Might provide another food option for somebody that wanted to be a block off of Main Street. Normally, Mad Paddle also has vendor booths at Soup Stew Chili and
Yes,
Brew.
and we do plan to do that as well.
And you'll do that again, so I generally don't see it as so I don't think it's gonna create more traffic, and, like, if anything, it's just gonna offer something else besides what's going on Main Street.
If I knew exactly which truck it would be
Yeah.
that day, I'd be happy to tell you, but we
Yeah.
just don't know.
Do you have any idea what time your trucks would be serving throughout all of these dates?
I believe lunchtime from about 12 on.
And then of an evening? or
9.
Okay,
About 12 to 9.
yeah. I just, that date stuck out to me, so I
Got a good memory.
didn't want to.
I made a motion to approve it. I think that we can experiment with it and see if it creates an issue and learn from experience. All the other restaurants on Main Street are open during Soup Stew Chili Brew, as well as all the other Main Street businesses, and I see this as, my personal opinion is complimentary to the activity that's happening on Main Street.
Right.
Do we, did you say,
Aye,
oh, we have
second.
second? Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Awesome. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Alyssa.
The next resolution is resolution number 24B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding a street closing and parking lot closings for Thornton's Bike Show. Whereas there's been a request filed by Tammy Schwagmeyer on behalf of Thornton's Motorcycle Sales for street and parking lot closings for said group in connection with Thornton's Bike Show to be held on Saturday, August 27th, 2023. Now therefore be resolved by the
Sorry, it's Sunday.
Sunday. Is that the right date, though?
Should be.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not Saturday?
It's
Okay.
Sunday.
Sunday, August
Make sure we got that.
Sunday, August
It is
27th.
Sunday.
Okay. We'll make a correction there.
Sunday, August 27th, 2023. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets and parking lots shall be closed on Sunday, August 27th, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Vaughn Drive between the west side of West Street and the east side of Poplar Street, and Central Avenue from the Chain Link Gate south to Vaughn Drive, and the city parking lot between Poplar Street and Central Avenue. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets and parking lot as closed shall be under supervision and control of Thornton's Motorcycle Sales at the times noted above for the year 2023.
Good morning. So tell us a little bit about this event, and is this like the 5th year you've done this, Tammy?
This will be the 6th one.
Sixth, okay.
We've done it since 2017, and we didn't do it in 2020 because of COVID. But this will be the 6th show. Last year, we chose a different date, and we didn't get much of a crowd. There's several reasons for that. So we've gone back to the Sunday before Labor Day weekend, as we've done for all the other shows. The footprint is a little bit different, frankly, because I was advised that we needed to move it more towards the bridge, because where we had put it before was in front of Crystal Beach, and there's no power there now. So we wanted to move it down a block or two to be able to have electricity for our computers and printers mostly. And there's a handful of vendors that are planning to be there, bike show kind of vendors.
There is power at Crystal Beach. We're just working on all the power in that corridor, removing many of the overhead lines since we're doing the Crystal Beach Aquatic Park development and making them underground. But our plan is to have all the power in place.
Would it be
So that doesn't,
restored
so
by
that
then?
doesn't interrupt any of the festivals.
Okay.
That was our plan.
I probably messed up in moving it then, but I maybe got bad advice.
What was the other weekend?
Oh,
was it
the
gonna be-
other weekend, we had done it before, this past year, we did it in September, we did it September 11th, but
Okay.
that,
What was the alternative date that you said you moved it to August 27th? Or it was
We
the
put
same
it
date, you
back.
just moved it footprint?
yeah, the footprint is what I was talking about, that we moved, just because, again, I was given advice that we probably needed to because of the power situation, but regardless, that's what I've applied for, and we'll roll with that for this year, and,
I will say that because I kind of like the old footprint better.
yeah, me too.
Because this footprint seems to be kind of big for the scale of your event. How many participants and people attended previously?
Probably, on one of our best shows, we had a little over 100 bikes on display, and I would guess probably a couple thousand people over the course of the day
Oh, wow. Okay.
that came and went. Last year was pretty small. We didn't have much traffic. We didn't have many bikes show up. But we have had much better in the past, and would like to at least keep a footprint large enough to be able to handle at least 100 bikes.
Okay. And that timing, we are also about to begin a construction project in this lot at Poplar Street. But I don't think we're starting that until after Riverfest, so you should be fine.
I make the motion, we approve resolution 24B-2023 with the correction on
On the
the
date.
Saturday to Sunday.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Any comments or questions? Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
The next resolution is resolution number 25B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding streets and parking lot closings for the annual Madison Regatta and Rooster Tail Festival. Whereas there's been a request filed by Kyle Bipes on behalf of the Madison Regatta, Inc. for street and parking spaces and parking lot closings for said group in connection with its annual Madison Regatta and Rooster Tail Festival to be held on Monday, June 26, 2023 through Sunday, June 2nd, 2023. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive between Jefferson Street and Mill Street shall be closed on Monday, June 26th, 2023 from 6 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that in order to safely transport equipment to the river, the following streets shall be closed on Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 from 6 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. That would be Vaughn Drive between Jefferson Street and West Street, Jefferson Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive, Mulberry Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive, West Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive from the west side of the entrance of the Riverboat Inn to the east side of Mill Street and all streets running north and south between Vaughn Drive and the south side of First Street between St. Michael's Avenue and Vine Street shall be closed on Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 at 8 a.m. through Sunday, July 2nd, 2023 at 5 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the city parking lot located at 2nd Street and Jefferson Street shall be closed on June 30th, July 1st, and 2nd, 2023 from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the parking spaces north of Bicentennial Park on First Street shall be closed from Wednesday, June 28th through Sunday, June 2nd, 2023. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the streets and parking spaces and parking lot as closed shall be under the supervision and control of Madison Regatta, Inc. at the times noted above for the year 2023.
Good morning. Who's with you? Kyle, is that your bodyguard?
No, I'm way bigger than you. I'll take care of him.
I just want to say the information this year, very well organized, follows our event guidelines to a T, and very thoughtful. So thank you guys for making it easy on us to review all of those event details, because we're all in it for a fun, safe event. So good work there. And we were talking a little bit before the meeting. the course itself hasn't changed, but so we'd still need to go down to Mill Street on the west end? So what you're,
So Skunk Hollow, the place that Harold Hunt now owns, that is completely open. So we have RVs in between Vine and Elm. So if we
Okay.
work, Mill Street's gonna be open, Vine Street will be the first street that's closed on the west end.
okay, okay.
And then in that, they still have access right there at the end. We backed up far enough last year with blocks for them to get in and out of Skunk Hollow.
So here where it says, we're closing Vaughn Drive between Jefferson and Mill Street, should that be amended to be Vine Street? Or we're closing it between there, but we're not closing Mill Street, is that what your point was?
Correct,
Because there will be RV parking down through there?
Correct,
Okay,
yes, correct.
okay. All right. I had a lot of questions last year. Now, you've answered a lot of my questions going through this process.
Kind of put
So-
it together only the last minute last year.
This year, I know you've already had several meetings with our street department. I'm not sure if you met with Chief Wallace yet about traffic management, but that'll be part of the discussions to make sure that we're properly staffed for, the outside footprint impact that always happens with a big event like the regatta.
Yeah, we should have a meeting to get set up with Chief Wallace, Fire Department, Coast Guard, all the people.
Coast Guard's done.
Yeah.
Coast Guard's done, good.
Coast Guard's done.
Are you going to be marking the camping areas with duct tape again this year?
We would like to use washable chalk, but we got told last year that we weren't allowed to. We still see some tape from every event downtown. I think
Yeah,
the
there's some
chalk
there.
is a better option.
Yeah, I agree, because there, like you said, there's still duct tape from
Yeah.
several events down there.
We
White,
s- we
white
started
duct
with-
tape, yellow duct tape. I think you all used the white.
Yeah, we started with chalk and got scolded and told to go buy duct tape, so that's what we did.
Does washable chalk, is
Yeah,
it what it says it is, that it's washable
Yeah.
off of there, so
Yeah,
it's
he
not
did
gonna
use
leave a
some,
permanent
and
mark?
It was down on the east end, down by, Elm and Vine, and it's gone.
Yeah. it is.
I know our street superintendent, Tony Sorrells, is here. Do you have a comment on chalk versus tape? Oh, good
Okay.
deal.
There we go.
Good point.
Takes care of that.
Any questions for Jake or Kyle?
Done a good job on the event plan.
Thank you.
And you will have access to chill bellies and.
Yes, I
and
know
the-
last year they brought up, and we can easily rearrange that the last year being fenced out. I talked to them last year, I don't think that's in their best interest at all, but we can accommodate that very quickly last minute if it needs to be done. But as of right now, we've included them like we always have and allowed them access in and out.
And also with the other restaurant in front of Kiwanis Park.
And then during the early part of the week, I think when they're just really starting to mobilize, I think we had pushed the street closure barricades down far enough where it didn't obstruct his parking lot, because it was still open, but
Okay.
just have to be, like you are, cognizant of the neighbors and neighbor notification.
We want to help all the businesses in
Yeah.
Madison, not hurt them.
Is the overlook going to be,
I think so.
Usable?
We were just down there meeting with ETC. I don't know that the pavers are gonna be set, but we don't have spectators in that area anyway, so I think it'll be manageable. It looks nicer than it has in years past, even incomplete, so we're
sure,
excited
it's a
about it.
beautiful addition to the riverfront, and it's going to be a great addition, I think, to Regatta and all the other festivals that happen on our riverfront.
And your situation with the Fairfield Inn, having access to their hotel worked out great
Yeah,
last year.
yeah,
so-
they've actually turned out to be a wonderful partner. We had some stumbles in how to run the fence last year because they didn't want anything driven into their new sod or covering it, but we worked past it, and they've been a fantastic partner, letting us have meetings down there, and we're working on ways to jointly utilize their space down by the river in a way that could benefit both parties, so.
Great.
Gotcha. Well, I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 25B 2023, subject to just your continued meetings with Chief and Streets. Make sure we have everything, all the logistics coordinated, but you guys have done this for a very, very long time. I think we're getting much better at it, the organization and coordination, and appreciate all the hard work you guys have put into bringing this event to the community and making it a fun, safe event.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any comments or questions? Anyone from the audience? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks.
The last and final resolution of today's meeting is resolution number 26B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding closings for the annual Hometown USA Parade. Whereas there has been a request filed by Tanya Burnett on behalf of the City of Madison for street closings in connection with the annual Madison Regatta Parade to be held on Friday, June 30th, 2023. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets are closed from 3 p.m. until the end of the parade on Friday, June 30th, 2023. Main Street between the west side of Walnut Street and the east side of Craigmont Street between the north side of 2nd Street and the south side of 3rd Street, and the northbound and southbound lanes of Jefferson Street between the north side of East 1st Street and the south side of Milton Street. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that there shall be no parking on the following streets from 3 p.m. until the end of the parade on Friday, June 30th, 2023. And that would be on Main Street between the west side of East Street and the east side of Craigmont Street, northbound and southbound lanes of Jefferson Street between the north side of East 1st Street and the south side of Milton Street, the 400 block of St. Michael's Avenue, the north side of the 800 block of West 3rd Street and Craigmont Street, between Craigmont Street and Wall Street, the 400 block of Wall Street, and the first 3 parking spaces on the north side of the 700 block of West 3rd Street going east on West Street. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Madison Regatta Parade Committee and the City of Madison at the times of the year 2023.
Hello.
Hello again.
So this is one of the probably best attended events in the city throughout the course of the year. Everybody's excited with all the whole week's worth of activities. The only question I have is really about the Jefferson Street. I know there was discussion about staging in that part of Jefferson Street north of Main. Where did we land on
We're
that?
hoping not to have to, but we left it in there just in case. It's a backup area.
And then we closed, okay, east, okay. West side of East Street. Okay, so it's there as a
The goal is
backup.
not to use
Yeah.
that.
It's a very busy area because
Yeah.
it's still part of the detour for traffic on 421. Other than that, same as last year,
It is.
looks like. And the theme this year is Hometown USA.
Yes.
What do you envision for that theme?
Patriotic.
Patriotic.
Yeah. Hometown.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 26B-2023.
I'll second that. Dave, got questions?
Yeah, I know last year you had to make provisions, because of the incident with the Christmas parade that happened, where was it, Wisconsin, I think? So there was kind of special provisions made for the regatta parade. Did
There will be
that all
police
work out
officers at each intersection, yeah.
I mean, would,
It-
God forbid
Did
something
it
like
work
that
well
happen
last year,
here?
is from what I understood,
Yeah, and John's here, so John can add to it, but we're gonna do the same thing as we did last year, so there will be the police officers and their police vehicles stationed at the intersection, so if there is an incident, they can hop in their vehicle and take care of that. So, and the police officers will be there to help man the barricades as well. So, taking that extra safety precaution again this year, and that's just how we're gonna do it for the rest of the parades.
I mean, unfortunately, that's the world we live in today, so.
Yes, it is, and it also makes it easier though on staff to have the police officers there and have that presence. I think it's just better to have them, no matter what, even if that incident didn't happen.
Chief, we have 4 new candidates at ILEA. Will they be back for this? America's Chief, John
Oh,
Walls.
thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir, they certainly will. We'll have all hands on deck for the parade. stated, something new we developed last year is putting the squad cars with the officers at the intersection, essentially to take out and mitigate any threat that may come down through the parade route or through the crowd. So we're doing all we can, reviewing alleyways and any other secondary entrances into the parade to make sure that we secure them the best we can as well. So we're doing all we can, and knock on wood, we'll have another safe event this year.
It's excellent last year. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
I was wrong. We do have one more resolution. Resolution number 27B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, approving amendments to Chapter 50 of the Garbage Collection Ordinance. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana enacted ordinance number 2013-2, Chapter 50 of the City of Madison Book of Ordinances on April 2nd, 2013 regarding garbage collections. It has been recommended that the following amendments as outlined in Exhibit A attached here to be made to sections Chapter 50. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the amendments to certain chapters as outlined in Exhibit A attached here to are approved and hereby recommended for passage by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana. I've got to go to a hearing.
Okay.
Is there any questions for me on this?
Well, I was going to go through a PowerPoint presentation and as to give some background to
Yeah.
this. And, you know,
Realistically, the job for you guys is it's dealing with the fees.
recommend the fee structure to the
Yes.
City Council for its ordinance process.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. So, board and community, the City of Madison provides trash collection services across the city and for Jefferson County. The transfer station is a utility function, just like water and sewer. It disposes of solid waste and recyclables as well as compost. It often operates 7 days a week, particularly in peak tourism season. And in addition to the household collection, the transfer station processes trash brought to the center by anybody effectively. It also collects household furniture across the community, collects and disposes of leaves and branches, and is largely responsible for keeping the community clean. The transfer station operations by state statute are required to be funded by user fees, not property taxes. Next slide, please. History of the transfer station. Prior to 1985, the City of Madison operated a landfill. That landfill was closed in 1985, and then the city created a transfer station. Effectively, what a transfer station does is all of our trash and recyclables are brought to a central location. It's processed, put into containers, and then hauled off through a contract with Rumpke to be processed and sorted and placed in a landfill. As I mentioned, it's transferred via contract. We renewed the contract in 2020, and the City of Madison, like I said, has has operated the transfer station since 1985. The fees are supposed to be set at a level to maintain the fiscal and physical operations. The City of Madison, like several of its other utility operations, has not reestablished rates since 2013. In fact, if you look at the history of the transfer station operation, in the 38 years that the transfer station has been operating, it's only modestly increased rates three times. And since 1996, rates have only increased about 59 cents a week, which obviously does not keep up with the cost of labor, benefits, supplies, fuel, energy, or allows for any funding to keep our equipment modern. In 2013, when the rates were last set, the tonnage rate for solid waste brought to the transfer station was increased from $48 to 62 cents, where it's been since 2013. City of Madison has essentially been subsidizing this operation because of events over the course of the last 3 years. Go ahead and move to the next slide. Post-COVID impact on the transfer station was very dramatic. In 2020, When COVID hit, that reduced our workforce under a contract we had with the DOC. And we had to hire 6 full-time workers in order to supplement the trash operations. Since 2018, the city has subsidized almost $700,000 in deficits, and at the pace we're going now because of high inflation, that will accrue to about $1.1 million by the end of this year. Per state statute, we have to adjust our rates in order to bring some fiscal solvency back to that operation. So we're doing this right now. We're proposing to only change the per ton rate and not affect the household rates. Other things that occurred since 2020, we had COVID. We had the flash flood in 2021, which caused millions of dollars of property damage and the creation of multiple flood and disaster response efforts. We had the capital planning in the water department that resulted in an increase in water rates in 2022. And then high inflation of almost over 27% since 2018 and over 90% since 1996 has just created a sustainable issue at our TSO. So we're now forced to look at replacing that lost revenue due to those reasons. Here's a few images of what our transfer station looks like. Those are the scales. Those scales have not been modernized in several decades. They also do not integrate with the point of sale system, so we're going to be looking at a capital improvement plan. Next slide. This is essentially what the steel girders underneath the scales and transfer station entry building look like. As you can see, significant erosion to that particular part of our plant. Other pictures of the premises there have not been updated in quite a while. Here's what the inside bays look like, and then just one example of one of our aging, that might be a bulldozer or a skid loader there, can't remember which it is. On the financial summary side, that image is a little hard to look at, but it shows 5 years of audited information, followed by 2 years of actual for 2020, actual 2021, and actual 2022, and 5 years of that audited. As you can see under the excess or deficiency, we've been incurring a deficient operation since 2018. It's depleted reserves. It's created an inability for us to replace our equipment and deal with the high inflationary costs. As I mentioned, if we do not start phasing in revenue to address these deficits, it'll become unsustainable. What we're proposing on the next slide is first of all, top of there shows you our capital equipment there, age ranging from 1989 to the mid-90s for the majority of it. Our compactor trucks, our newest compactor truck is 2018. We're essentially outside the useful life of almost all of our equipment. A capital replacement reserve was created in 2013 when the rates were adjusted, but it was never funded. And had we funded the capital replacement reserve at the recommended amounts in 2013, we would have accrued a little over $1 million by now. And coincidentally, if you look at the CapEx needs for the next 5 years, it's approximately $1.1 million. So phasing in, the approach is a prudent thing to do now. It does not affect household collection rates, but we are recommending that we increase the per ton rate from $62 to $79 a ton. That matches the cumulative inflation of 29% since 2013. And that and a couple of other changes with regards to how we account for wages and benefits will help us reduce the annual deficit by over $250,000. Taking no action will increase our cumulative deficits to $1.1 million. This will bring some solutions toward our capital planning exercise. We've had several years now to absorb the impact from COVID, absorb the impact from flood, and then now absorb the impact from the higher water rates that we passed last summer. So we think it's prudent now to deal with the other remaining lagging utility function revenue-wise, which is transfer station. Board, what I'm asking you to do today is make a recommendation as the managers of all of our city utilities to city council for the minor increase in rates so that we can begin this process of bringing solvency back to this transfer station operation. Many communities use third parties for their trash collection services. We do not. We do it all in-house. That has allowed us to keep rates lower, but has not allowed us to keep up with the demands from a labor perspective, inflation, and purchasing of equipment so that we can continue to deliver good service to our community. So, again, no changes to household collection rates. This is only going to impact what is brought to the transfer station and then some other minor fees relative to our curbside furniture pickup fees and compost bags and those kinds of ancillary costs that we incur that are absorbed by the user. I'll pause there and answer any questions that you all might have.
When are you shooting for this to take effect?
So this will be on its first reading with the city council tomorrow. It will require 3 readings. Presuming it goes through the ordinance process on the typical timetable, then approximately it'll go into effect after council fully signs off on it, which would be approximately one month for us to go through all 3 readings. And then we'll continue to monitor our progress throughout the course of the year, finish up our capital planning, and then make a decision at the end of the year what additional phases of rate considerations need to be implemented. I just don't, unfortunately, see a choice because of the way costs have increased and, the fact that the city's only amended its rate 3 times in 38 years has not set aside sufficient funds for the operation, unfortunately.
Mayor, as you stated earlier in your presentation, the TSO is a user fee, not a property tax.
Correct.
And unfortunately, looking at the financial summary, the last couple of years, because of the losses, we've had to make some general fund transfers
Yes.
to, from property taxes, transferred over to the TSO in order to keep it operating, keep it solvent. So, in order to get back to a strictly a user fee program, I think it's a no-brainer that, something has to be done. Increased rates and.
Yes, we have to do this, or we'll have to engage with a third party to perform the services for us. But there is a benefit for the municipally owned utility operation, and that is that we can generally provide great service because of our, initiatives and care for the cleanliness of our community, and we can generally do it at lower costs. But if we don't constantly reinvest and have those user fees at an amount that supports it, then our only option will be to go to a third party and let a third party for-profit enterprise provide that service for us. And I'm not sure we'll get the same value that we do now with the municipally owned utility operation.
And with a third-party operation, that would basically bring in an outside company that the homeowner would be billed to that third party
Yes.
for the service. And I think we've seen and heard from other communities that have explored that option, that once they found out the cost and what it was going to cost the homeowner for that service, that option was abandoned.
Yeah.
And
A lot of us are in the same boat, which is rapidly rising costs and lagging changes in fee structure to support the operations. And this is an extremely capital and labor-intensive operation. We need heavy equipment, and we need lots of physical labor in order to, collect over 5,000 households in Madison and process over almost 10,000 tons of solid waste through the transfer station each year.
Well, just, if you look at the collection of leaves every fall, the labor and the equipment used in that, and I know everybody in Madison appreciates that service is there, because otherwise you're gonna have to deal with them yourself. So to keep anything like that going, I'm all in favor of that.
Yeah, those are good services we offer that you would not get from a private enterprise. But we also have to have the labor, and we have to have the equipment to do it. And we're constantly, dealing with, areas of the community that have experienced significant deferred investment or deferred maintenance over a long period of time. And you saw some of the images of what the buildings look like and how outdated our scales are and how old our equipment is. We can do a good job, and with modest increases so that we can manage it properly.
This is just an example of what happens, the end result when you go years without adjusting your rates, which is basically what's happened here. So, I'd like to see us get on a something similar to as we did with the water issue. Water's also a user fee, not property tax. And instead of waiting every 10 or 15 years for a water rate adjustment, you get hit with a larger than normal increase. And I'd like to see something approved here where the rate is adjusted every so many years so we can avoid that.
Right.
I mean, especially the last 3 years with the rate of inflation has been just sky high. So that really eats into the operation. So,
Mayor Courtney, I was just curious, I know you're very data-driven. Do you have any data on the usage of city residents versus county residents versus who's actually utilizing those services on a regular basis?
Well, the majority of the trash collection costs is on the household collection side, because that's where you've got, every week we're picking up trash and recycling. On a per tons processed, about 64% of the solid waste that's being processed comes from outside of our collection efforts. And then the majority of the revenue is coming from the household collection to offset those costs. So right now, we do not make any distinction of whether or not you are a Jefferson County resident, of whether or not you can bring your trash to our transfer station operation. We're not making any recommendations to change that. But we are, just like on water, we're providing trash services to all of Jefferson County and anybody outside of Jefferson County who wants to bring their solid waste to the transfer station operation. We only collect trash and recycling and compost for city residents who are subscribed to our household collection plan. And there's a little over 5,000 households that are subscribed there. And that accommodates, like I said, for a little over only a third of the trash that's processed at the transfer station operation. The rest of it is brought to us. So it's prudent that we look at the cost structures for both sides, that we're processing, that we're not collecting, and then that we're processing, that we are collecting. And we also provide a lot of free services right now. The leaf pickup, compost pickup, the curbside furniture delivery is being collected at a loss. We want to keep our community clean, but we do have to adjust the fees. But the benefit of our operation here is we can spread those costs out over thousands of people or 10,000 tons of solid waste being processed, and it allows us to keep our cost structure lower, and hence our fees lower. There's no revenue proposition here. Our operation is to break even. It's to provide enough revenue so that we can invest in our equipment and have sufficient staff for the services that they're rendering. So this is not, what we're trying to do is resolve a deficit. We're not trying to swing that to a profit operation. We're literally just trying to provide a service at a good value and still offer it at a price that's lower than if they went to a third-party for-profit company. Any comments or questions? We'll begin the ordinance process at the next city council meeting, which will be tomorrow.
I make a motion we approve resolution 27B-2023.
I'll second Carl's motion.
Any comments or questions from anybody here? Again, this will go through an ordinance process. We'll advertise the rate changes. There'll be a public meeting so that anybody concerned with what we're proposing can address it through the ordinance process. Having a motion and a second, and no further discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. All right, moving on, I will introduce Deputy Mayor Minnie McGee, and she's going to give an overview on infrastructure update. And then we'll have one more item we'll get to public comment. I know it's been a long meeting, so appreciate everybody's patience.
Good
Hi,
morning,
Minnie.
Board. Just wanted to provide a quick update on some infrastructure projects we have going on since we're getting into the summer season. We were recently awarded our application for the 2023 CCMG. We were awarded $649,993, which would allow us up to almost a $1.3 million project. 50% of that would come from our own funds. The list of streets in that application are Blackmore Street from Bel Air to Highland. That's been on the list for quite some time to do, and it always ends up getting pulled because it just bumps us over the financial window. So made sure to get that one in this application. That will happen. There will be quite a bit of curb and gutter and sidewalk work in that stretch as well. And then the next three projects, streets that we're doing, are in relation to current projects going on. So Mulberry Street, from Maine all the way to Vaughan, that will complete that Mulberry corridor in conjunction with the parking lot and all the other work that's going on Mulberry. Second Street, same footprint there, south of the Mulberry Street parking lot, from Jefferson all the way to West Street. And then Poplar Street, it's from First Street all the way to Vaughan. That is where we will be working on the parking lot down there, as well as the green space on the former HMI property there. And then West Street from the bottom of the hill all the way to Main Street, that road is in really bad condition, mainly due to a lot of cuts that have failed. But it will need to get redone, so we're going to take a look at some sidewalks as well as milling and paving that street.
Did you say West Street?
West Street.
Great.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's really bad. But there's been a lot of great new investment on West Street, too.
Yes, yes.
And Mulberry north of Main Street, so
Yes.
throw that in.
Yeah. I got to stop somewhere. And then the last one is Michigan Road, so it'll be from the bottom of the hill all the way to the Miles Ridge Road entrance. This is another opportunity to use the product called Top Shell, which is similar to what we did on Main Street, but it's actually a better product because we can do thermoplastic markings on it. We don't have to paint. It's a little thicker and better for the road surface rejuvenation than the liquid road, and we couldn't use Top Shell on Main Street because it was in such bad condition. So Michigan Road was crack sealed a couple of years ago. It's the right timing to do a product like that on that section of roadway, and it'll extend the life of the road, so we don't have to spend so much, quite so soon, on milling and paving
I
Michigan
want to
Road.
just emphasize what you just said, which is, part of this is milling and paving.
Yes,
Part of it is really a maintenance of the road to extend its useful life so we can keep that rating higher so that it doesn't have to be replaced. Full replacement is extremely expensive. But we've got really good data that will allow us then to identify those main thoroughfares that should be maintained so we can get several extra years out of the road before it does have to be completely replaced. So
we're trying to do several things, taking a little different approach to CCMG. I think traditionally it's been done as a mill and pave, sort of minimum sidewalk work, concrete work. We're trying to do more sidewalk and ADA ramp because we are in an agreement that we will continue to make progress on those accessibility ramps. And it also just makes sense, I think, to not just do mill and pave, but do preventative work and rejuvenation work. It's really a schedule of all of the things out there because it extends the life of the roads, and I think we started to do a pretty good job of that. And I know that NDOT approves of that approach as well. They want to see in our 5-year plan that we're doing lots of different things, not just mill and pave.
West Third Street is getting pretty rough also. Have you looked at it?
3rd Street on east and west of Main is really bad, again, mainly due to the
Cuts.
backfill excavations, yeah. So I just, again, it is on the list, but had to cut it off at some point in terms of funding.
Well, and what we're also taking through council tomorrow night will be the second reading, is our ordinance revising, and I think the board here already signed off on it, streets and sidewalks, and particularly putting in an effective process. I'm noting the word effective. There's been a process in place since 1966 when that ordinance was created. Over the years, though, it was not followed. And what we ended up with is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage of our roads and sidewalks across the community because of the utility cuts that are happening in our streets and right-of-ways. We're taking care of that through this process too, so that I think is a big thing that we'll be able to check off our list pretty soon, and will save us hundreds of thousands of dollars of repair work in the future, because eventually there's so many cuts, it ends up just completely decimating a road, and we're putting a stop to that.
And the cuts are going to continue to happen, but having them backfilled correctly will keep them from failing, which is what's happening now.
Hopefully that'll prevent what we've got here on West Street.
Right.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
West Street's a
Main Street.
prime example, Second Street's a prime, Third Street's a
Third
prime
Street,
example
yeah.
of failed backfill because of not following procedure or inspecting the work, and potholes and degradation in the road that then results in the cost of a complete replacement.
Right.
Minnie, time-wise,
Yes.
what's the timing on this? Because Michigan Hill, as you know,
Yep.
primary access point to the hilltop from downtown, and Hanging Rock Hill is closed right now.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to talk about the Hanging Rock Hill project in a minute, but we will try to time these with whatever contractor gets the bid to what makes the most sense. So if we need to push Michigan to last, I think we can probably keep it outside that window of when Hanging Rock is closed. We definitely don't want them both closed at the same time. So we have some flexibility there when we work with the contractors.
Mindy, does the city have do they maintain a conversation with NDOT as far as the progress on Hanging Rock Hill?
We do.
So that, I mean, they say it's gonna be closed 6 months. Hopefully, it'll be less than that.
Right. I think
Would
they
the
were
city be
being,
notified?
I think they
how
were
the
being
progress
very
is-
conservative on that. I think they hope it is done actually in July, I think was the last date I heard that they were going to shoot for.
That would be super.
It would be super. We're just not counting on it, just in case.
We,
I'll hold you to your word.
we talk with NDOT all the time,
Yes.
and as well as Jefferson County, because Jefferson County has
Yeah.
also got several projects that they're working on
Right,
that'll affect the city.
right. Also wanted to just give you an update on the sidewalk projects. This actually started out as a fall project from last year, but has obviously extended into the spring. It's grown a bit too. We've approved some more work within it. So everything that has a check mark, all those sections have been completed. They're finishing up on West 3rd Street right now in the 700 block. There's 3 sections left to do, 2 smaller sections down on East Street near Vaughn. East 2nd Street, there's a small section left to do, and then West 3rd Street on the south side, either side of Broadway, about a block east and a block west, there's some sidewalk work that needs to happen in there. So that would wrap up what ended up being a very large list of sidewalks, gutters, ADA improvements, all that stuff. So that ended up being a very good project. We're just in the final 3 right now.
With the sidewalk asset management plan that allowed us to focus on the worst rated sidewalks.
I know several marks along the sidewalks that they've used the surfacing tool to make the tripping hazard
Grinder.
go away. Yeah, it seems to be working, I mean, from what I've seen.
Good, thank you. Yeah,
That was a great investment.
Street Department, I don't know if they're working on any right now, but they were out there quite a bit doing that, and I think I see it everywhere, so it's a better option than having to rip out the sidewalk right now.
Yep.
And then just a reminder that there are a lot of infrastructure projects going on right now. Some are city projects, some are county, some are NDOT, and some of those will overlap in terms of timing. So the county has 3 bridge projects that they just got approved for. So one is the West Street Bridge. That's going to happen this summer. We'll have to also coordinate with them in terms of timing to see if it overlaps with the paving that we're going to do on West Street. And Hanging Rock Hill, as we already talked about, will be closed most of the summer. Clifty Drive, there's several projects on Clifty Drive. NDOT bundled those. One was our sidewalk project. The rest are NDOT projects. You'll see people working on Clifty Drive right now as they're doing preliminary work and engineering. They have moved the letting date to October of this year on that bundled project because they've let it once before. It only got 1 bid, so they require 3. So they have pushed that out to rebid. And then NDOT also has a project on 421 that has to do with culvert repair and replacement and paving. So obviously we are talking to them quite a bit about that at the same time because that affects our flooding area, and we're having those conversations about the culverts in that area as well. Main Street Phase 1 is scheduled to let, I believe, in 2025. That is from the top of Hanover Hill to the Incline Bridge. Lots of work has already been completed on that in terms of preliminary engineering. We did an initial walkthrough on the footprint and prepared an engineering report based on that. And then our 2028 federal grant, that's for the county, the federal bridge grant. They have 3 bridges in that same footprint. So that will happen after we get our Phase 1 done, but all good work in a good area. And then our Main Street Phase 2, we're still waiting on our notice to proceed from NDOT on that, and then we will start doing a letting process for an engineering team for that. And that is all I have.
Lots of infrastructure work happening. all
Mindy,
across
do you
the
know
city.
what the extent of the West Street Bridge repair is going to entail?
I'm not really sure. I've had a conversation with county.
It's not gonna be a full replacement.
It's
is it?
not. I believe it is either side underneath that they're making some replacements. I don't think it's gonna be as extensive as what they're doing on the federal grant side.
Okay.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last regular agenda item. Sir, you've been very patient. I know it's been a long meeting. We have one regular agenda item left, and that is our PACE finals.
Sorry. Hi, good morning, or afternoon now, I guess. So we have 2 PACE final reports. The first one is 736 West Third Street. The recipient, M&S Bailey Family Farm LLC, is asking for the disbursement of $4,917.58, which is 50% of the cost of the project. They completed replacement of deteriorated wood deck and porch columns. Everything was completed according to their grant agreement, and you can see the before photos and then after completion photos. And then we have, the second report is for 752 Jefferson Street. The recipient, Richard Cole, is asking for the disbursement of $6,564.04, which is 50% of the cost of the project. He completed replacement of deteriorated windows. Everything was completed according to his grant agreement as well. You can see the before pictures and then after.
Is that North Jefferson? So is that across the little bridge?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Okay,
It is.
that's cute, yeah. Well, I just want to state that, again, whenever we talk about PACE, I'm really grateful for all of the partnerships and collaborations. We're funding a portion of the investment, and on average, I think the ratio is probably 6-to-1. In some instances, it's been 11-to-1, meaning there's been 11 times the amount of the investment the city has made. It's been a really successful program, and it's an important element of revitalizing our neighborhoods. So I appreciate all their investment. I'll make a motion, we approve PACE finals as presented for 736 West Third and 752 Jefferson Street.
Second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, moving on. I just have a couple things on the mayor's comments. That is that there will be an announcement coming soon about the Crystal Beach groundbreaking. That will be held on June 13th at noon. Our contractors will start mobilizing to the site probably beginning this week, but we'll have an official groundbreaking to celebrate the reconstruction of the Crystal Beach and the construction of the Crystal Beach Aquatic Park. So that'll be June the 13th. Drive around many of our parks and you'll see a tremendous amount of investment and upgrades being made as we speak. Also, board and to the community, please visit our website. We monthly release a e-newsletter that depicts all the great things that are happening across the community, and also on our website, because many people ask about the status of projects. There's actually a map on our website, and you can see exactly which projects are happening on the hilltop and which ones are happening downtown. You'll get a great description as well as the partners of what that project is. So you can stay very well informed by looking at our website, which is under projects, and you can see which ones are the hilltop, which is the vast majority of the dollars being invested are on the hilltop, and then our Destination Madison projects and some park investments downtown. And then lastly, I'll mention, you can also, on our website, report an issue online. You can also apply for one of several dozen permits now online. So we're trying to make it easier for everybody to be informed, but also use our services without having to come down to City Hall and process your transaction that way. You can still do that. You can still come to City Hall and do everything physically here that you can do online. But the convenience of processing online and also being able to pay for different fees and for permits, et cetera, with a credit card is online and available for you too. This is also National Police Week, so I want to thank all of our law enforcement officers in our community, all the different agencies that support making Madison a very safe community for all visitors and those who live and work here. Our quality of life in Madison is exceptional, and the foundation of it begins with a safe community. So I want to recognize all members involved in law enforcement, past and present, and particularly those members who have lost their life and the families who have made sacrifices for our community. That'll be celebrated all week this week in National Police Week, and we'll have a proclamation in their honor at City Council tomorrow. So I will pause there and open it up to public comments. Sir, how are you? You've been very patient.
I'm Robert Lofton.
Sir,
Oh,
could you turn your microphone on, please? Push the button, there you go.
Sir, what's your address?
Okay.
What's your address, sir?
I say I'm Robert Lofton. I live on Hendrick Street up on top of the hilltop. And I am here to inquire what process is being, done on 307 Hendrick Street. I have stayed in contact with Mr. O'Neill, and last I heard, that he said that the people that own the house are dead. And every time, the last 3 years, I've had to come down here and complain about getting the grass mowed and repairs on it. It's got a hole in the roof right now, a lot of dead trees. The grass is finally starting to be mowed on a regular basis this year so far. But I just wanted to find out, is it being condemned or what? And he said, well, we don't know who owns it. And I said, who's paying the taxes on it? Well, I don't know. That's not my department. So I was just trying, in the paper about 3 months ago, it was brought to the front of the board and was told that one of you gentlemen said that you know about the house, the person was dead that owned it. So where are we at on it?
Well, the honest answer is I don't know. I'm not specifically familiar with that. But if we could, we'd be happy to set up a meeting with you and our Director of Building and Planning, who supervises Dewey and our building inspector for unsafe properties. That could give you some firsthand information about the status of 307 Hendrick Street.
Okay.
I don't have any other information.
So basically what you're saying, I'm back to where I was 3 years ago.
Well, I'm not saying that, sir. I'm saying that for the correct information
Okay.
and what's happening right now. I mean,
Okay.
we have over 100 unsafe properties across the community that we're now dealing with the resources that we didn't have as recent as a little over a year ago. And last year, we dealt with over 400 nuisance cases. So it's a constant thing that we want to address. And if you're saying there's a complication here of deceased property owners and not being able to work with someone that owns the property, that does add an element of complication that we'll have to address.
Just like Mr. O'Neill had told me.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of red tape to go through.
Unfortunately, that is true.
And I waited for the people that was mowing it and supposedly maintaining it for 10 years, saying they was gonna fix it up and they was gonna move in. That never happened. So that's when I started contacting Mr. O'Neill.
That is the correct way to go, and I'm glad you are contacting him. The universe of problems is pretty enormous. We're trying to get to the most severe ones as quickly as possible, but when it does become a legal matter, because you're trying to deal with the property owner, it becomes very complicated and very time-consuming, and unfortunately, it doesn't happen as quickly as we would like either. But I am as concerned as you are about, and I'm going to drive by and look at that property myself so that when Nicole is back in the office on Wednesday, I can have a conversation with her, and we'll also contact you to have a conversation about the status of it. But when it does come to an unsafe property, getting the owner to take action sometimes is not very quick, unfortunately. That's why you've seen dilapidated, abandoned buildings sitting around our property for 10, 20, 30 years. And now what we're doing is addressing the property owners and asking for a plan. And if that plan doesn't include a timeline for resolving that issue, then we are taking action. And that part of it takes a long time, unfortunately.
Like I said, this year, they've actually started mowing the grass about every 2 weeks.
There's nothing more important, and I can understand how you feel about it, because do you live directly next door?
Yes.
It's got to be just an unbearable situation if you're living next door to a property that's not being maintained.
Well, after the water was shut off, the electric was shut off, the guy was still living there, and he wasn't mowing the grass. I started mowing it, but he didn't make any effort to mow it, and I thought, why should I? I mean, I was trying to keep it, and the neighbor's been trying to keep at least the front yard mowed for several years, but it's just,
You are
Right.
correct, Dewey did he did bring that before this board, 2 or 3 months ago.
As a status of a,
Had some
of a
pictures
bad
of
property.
it, and it is on his list. So we just don't know the progress that he's
All right.
made so far, so.
okay. Well, just
And
like
your
right
last name,
now,
sir, was it Lofton?
Lofton,
Lo-
Lofton,
T-O-N, okay, thank you.
Robert D.
Robert, I appreciate you being here, and I will follow up with Nicole, and I'm going to come up and visit the property myself. We have been making great progress across the community in cleaning up some abandoned nuisance properties. I can tell you, a year ago, we had no idea that the universe was as large as it was.
All right.
And when we dedicated building inspector resources and then hired Dewey as our first full-time code enforcement officer, we learned that the problem was much bigger than we thought.
Well, I realized,
Yeah.
before that, I didn't have anyone to go to.
Yes, sir.
So I was trying to, well, you're gonna fix it up, when are you gonna happen?
And that's-
There's been at least a half a dozen people ask me who owns it, and I give them the lady's phone number, but she don't wanna sell it. Well, if you're not gonna fix it up, why not sell it?
If you're going to own it, you need to maintain it.
But
That's
then
the
I
bottom
found
line.
out the owner supposedly is dead. So I don't know this lady supposedly, according to my wife, used to live there. That was her parents' home. And her brothers, whatever, but
What we're asking members like that is to present a plan, and doing nothing isn't a plan. And when we get into an enforcement action, that's when it takes a lot of time, because then there are statutory rights that a property owner has. This one might be even more complicated if it's in an estate, so there might not be a clear owner or a contact person or someone who's responsible for it. But I will follow up with Dewey and Nicole, sir, and we'll get back with you, and I'm going to come up and visit the property.
all right.
Thank
you.
Thank you, sir. Board, is there anything else you'd like to share with, from the agenda today?
Make a motion with adjourn.
Next meeting will be
David second.
Monday, June the 5th. We have a second. All in
Second that
favor,
motion.
Please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.